Hey guys, how's it going? So, welcome back yet again. This is going to be kind of the third part to the Primaris Marine reaction and what I think it means for Games Workshop and the future of 40k going forward. So, yesterday I mentioned a potential Guilliman Heresy, and I'm now going to go into some detail about that and explain what I really mean because I genuinely think there may be something to this. I could be wrong, but it's a fun theory to explore. So let's just go through it, and I'll explain what I mean. So we've had the Primaris Marines announced by Games Workshop. They are a secret project that Rebute Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines, and the Archmagus Dominus Belisarius Cal have been working on for 10,000 years, since the end of the Horus Heresy. The impetus for this was that Guilliman had seen how mankind could basically almost fall, apart, be completely destroyed in the fires of war. And he, in his foresight, knew that in the future, a similar sort of event or time could befall the Imperium of Man, and they would need, the Angels of Death, the Space Marines, like never before. However, he also felt that perhaps the Space Marines as they were may not be enough. So he ordered for the creation of the Primaris Marines, as well as new armor, new weapons to match their status. We now fast forward to the 41st millennium, the closing days of the 41st millennium. Just as he predicted or foresaw, the Imperium is in ruins. After the fall of Cadia, the warp has been able to break through into reality and has basically sundered the galaxy in half, with one half being able to still see the Astronomicum, the Emperor's light in the warp, and sort of, maintain a coherency for the most part, whereas the parts of the Imperium, the other side of this great rift, which is now cutting the galaxy in half, that has now become the Imperium Nihilus, the Dark Imperium, the Dark Empire. Anyone trapped that side of the Great Rift cannot see the Astronomicum, so it is going to be left to the chapters, the Imperial Guard, the forces loyal to mankind on that side to try and band together and to fight off the encroaching darkness. And for the most part, it looks to be the Tyranids and probably the Orcs as well. Guilliman is going to do his best by the looks of it to get reinforcements to them. I imagine it will be all part of his Indomitus crusade to basically just gather all of the worlds back together, all of the forces of the Imperium under one banner, and then with this centralized force, retake back the galaxy. And doing that, I imagine try and close these rifts up, these warp the warp storms that are now ravaging the galaxy. However, with the reveal of the Primaris Marines, of course, there will always be reaction and consequences, both good and bad. On the positive, those chapters who are Ultramarine successors and who have probably those chapters that are descended from the legions or the Primarchs, shall we say, who sided with Guilliman over the Codex Astartes, they will probably welcome the Primaris Marines. For the most part, I would say that's a fair assumption to make. They're like-minded in at least some regards, along in their thinking. For those who don't, who rejected the Codex upon its reveal by Guilliman after the Horus Heresy, they may again view the Primaris Marines as yet again Guilliman overstepping his mark. Some Puritans, Imperium Puritans, may believe that the responsibility of creating new Space Marines is entirely the Emperor's, no others, not even his sons, the Primarchs. And this could mean that we may see forces who are of a like mind, of a similar thinking, basically coming together and saying, this is not on, this is not right. This, he's come back after 10,000 years. He was wounded by a demon Primarch. He could be corrupted. All these ideas may be flying around. People going, he was brought back using Xenos technology and all this sort of stuff. Perhaps he's been corrupted, and now he's revealed these Marines that he's been building in secret. What are we going to do about this? Likewise, it would be fair to assume that the High Lords of Terra, who have up till this point have had absolute control of the Imperium, may also be feeling a tad jealous over the fact that this guy has essentially strolled into their house and put his feet up and said, "You work for me now." I genuinely think that the Primaris Marines represent an attempt, potentially, by Guilliman to overthrow the current Imperium. Now, I don't mean that in some sort of, I don't mean in perhaps sort of Abaddon the Despoiler sort of style. I think he has the best intentions of the Imperium in his mind, and likewise he did speak to the Emperor. Now, we don't know what was said between Guilliman and the Emperor. They were with each other for a day. We can assume perhaps that, Guilliman being a loyal son of the Emperor, that the Emperor gave him his blessing. However, we have to remember that the rest of the Imperium, for the most part, are very regressed, very superstitious, very oppressed, and their thinking is not of being progressive and looking forward to the future and trying to, overcome the obstacles in their way by developing new technologies and, abandoning the old ways. The way of the Imperium, as the way it has always been for the most part, has been just, this dogmatic defiance and refusal to adapt and change, but simply persevere, stay the course regardless, and just push through. That's how they've always done it. That's why the Imperial Guard are sacrificed in the hundreds of millions, even the billions, to, just ground down the enemy in this war of attrition. Whereas Guilliman is thinking, there are other ways we can do this. There are better ways. Now, he, by the sounds of it, is still going to be creating these Primaris Marines, organising them into their own chapters. So it's still going to be the Codex Astartes. Likewise, he's intending to send out, some to basically all the chapters out there that are in need of reinforcement. But could there be some sort of Star Wars style Order 66 within them, that at any moment, any chapter that perhaps steps out of line with what Guilliman's thinking, find themselves at the mercy of these Space Marines 2.0? Think about it. It's a very clever way of doing it. Sure, they're created using the gene seed of their respective Primarchs, but that doesn't mean that Guilliman's not had the opportunity to put in some perhaps hypnotherapy, psycho conditioning, which the Space Marines do use anyway for their training when they're becoming Space Marines from initiates. Could this happen? Could he have put in this failsafe? If anyone goes against him and his attempt to, organise the Imperium once again under his banner, could he activate it? And what will that mean? Should one imagine, say, the Space Wolves who've been very, very sort of reluctant to embrace any sort of anything, placed upon them by outsiders. They're very much their own force. They fight for the Emperor, but they do things their way. And they fought the Imperium before. They fought the Inquisition, the Grey Knights. They've done it, and they're not scared to do it again. Imagine if Guilliman makes an order, tells them to do something, and they feel this is completely out of line, completely against what Russ or the Emperor would want, and they refuse. And Guilliman then decides to perhaps, enact some sort of Order 66. Maybe it's just to hold them at gunpoint. Maybe it's to take out those within the chapter that are usurpers, or he considers usurpers. Imagine what would happen if these Marines sent from Terra take out the Space Wolf. Well, there would be blood. There would be hell to pay, and it would also give, all those other chapters who are thinking the same sort of thing about, can we really be sure about this guy, about Guilliman? Can we trust him? Can we trust his Space Marines he's just brought out? If they saw that happen, what would they do? Well, they may sit back, but I doubt it, because Space Marines aren't the ones for just taking it on the chin and, turning a blind eye. They would probably rally, and it would be very cool to see someone like the Dark Angels, who are, again, very secretive, very much known for sort of keeping to themselves. They may potentially join in with the Space Wolves, in this, in a fight back against what they consider heresy, against Guilliman going against, the status quo and how things have always been. For the Space Wolves, despite what happened in the Warzone Fenris, they may genuinely think, well, what happens, it's just a test, it's something for us to overcome to make ourselves stronger. But at the core, the way we've done things since time immemorial is the way we're going to do things from now on. And if Russ was to come back, imagine if Russ is to come back and find out Guilliman's Marines he's created in secret without telling any of the other Primarchs, because we don't know whether any of the other Primarchs know. We can assume they don't. Russ comes back, his chapter's been attacked by Guilliman's Primaris Marines, who he's brought out with the intent of reinforcing these chapters, but in actual fact have been used as sort of a security force to make sure they all, they all do as they're told. Russ is gonna basically, in his mind, be like, you've basically confirmed everything I said was wrong about the Codex Astartes. You're wrong. You weren't there for Daddy E when he was, needed us at the Siege of Terra. You've enforced the Codex Astartes on everyone. Bullying around all the other chapters. I've had enough. The Lion as well. The Lion, again, in the Horus Heresy books, he's very open about sticking it to Guilliman when he can. He's got no qualms about doing that. And if he was to wake up and come back and see his chapter sort of under the supervision of these Primaris Marines, or at least these Primaris Marines who he doesn't know, he has no idea who they are, he doesn't know if they can be trusted or not, what is he going to do? How's he going to react? And likewise, the one big one that I always say is Corvus Corax, the Primarch of the Raven Guard. He, after the events of the Horus Heresy, was shattered, pretty much shattered in his mind as to what had happened during the Horus Heresy. Seeing his legion destroyed, trying to rebuild it using the Raptors. He went to the Emperor, asked for the secrets of gene forging to create, reinforcements for his legion. They were, sabotaged by the Alpha Legion, which resulted in the Raptors, who were superior Marines, but were horribly mutated and aberrations. Corvus Corax, after the events of the Horus Heresy, put down all of his Raptors, all of these mutated Marines, and it broke him. It kind of broke him, and that's why he left his legion, leaving only one message: nevermore. If he comes back and sees what Guilliman has done, sees either he succeeded where he failed, or the fact he's just tried to do it again, he may completely flip out. Likewise, Games Workshop have said there is no knowing of how certain chapters who have quirks in their gene seed, such as Curse of the Wolfen or the Black Curse, there is no knowing how the Primaris Marines will handle these genetic flaws. So Corvus Corax comes back, sees all these mutated Marines running around the place, or at least finds out about them somehow. He's going to be like, Guilliman, this is exactly what I did. It doesn't end well. Stop it. Guilliman's going to say no, because it's Guilliman. He knows best after all, And we genuinely may see these two separate ideologies, one of progressivism and one of perhaps cautious. It's not. With the Primarchs, I think they would all want to push forward. They want to abandon this theocracy the Imperium's become and sort of bring back the old days, that way of thinking of science and reason and truth and all this sort of stuff. But there would perhaps be these more sort of Puritans of the past, maybe Puritans of the Emperor's vision, the Emperor they know of. Because if none of them have a chance to speak to the Emperor, and they probably won't if Guilliman sat on Terra, commanding everything from there, they can't exactly just stroll in if they're then sort of thinking about kicking off with him and speaking to the Emperor. They will simply go, no, the way we're going to do it is the way we always used to do it back in the old days. What the Emperor told us to do, that's how we're going to do it. Guilliman's going to be there like, no, I spoke to the Emperor, he wants us to do it like this. Both are going to be at loggerheads. The Primarchs are notoriously stubborn, and who knows what happens. But I think the intention of the Primaris Marines may be, in the future, to enact or be the cause of the Guilliman Heresy, the Rebute Guilliman Heresy. And I don't mean that in a way that Guilliman plans to, take over the Imperium and do away with the Emperor like Horus or Abaddon is trying to do at the moment. But I certainly think there may be a clash of ideologies and minds, and that will be very interesting to see. Of course, this is all conjecture, this is all just me sort of speaking my mind, but like I say, I've had a while to think about it, and I've been sort of shooting this idea around with people. Some people have said, yeah, maybe. Some people have said no. Some people have been really like, yeah, I think they're going to do that too. Other people have like, that's never going to happen. Who knows? Anything could happen. But it's something worth thinking about, and I do think it would be cool to see. they've GW, well, not GW per se, but there have been rumors from sources who say they're close to GW that say the Primarchs will come back, but not all of them will come back on the same side. Does that mean that maybe the Alpha Legion, that maybe Alfarius or Omegon is still alive? Omegon is still alive, and they may come back and reveal themselves as being loyalists after all this time, or will one of the loyalists come back, such as perhaps Jagatai Khan or Korax, and turn sides? We have no knowing of what's going to happen. GW are throwing balls at us out of the left field all the time. We can never know what is actually going to happen, but it's fun to guess. So what do you guys think? Do you think there's something to that, or do you think maybe not? Let me know what you think, and if perhaps we can sort of come up with something that is close to what may happen. So guys, thanks for listening. I'm going to catch you very soon. We're getting ever closer to the drop of 8th. New stuff is coming out every single day. We had an article on reserves yesterday, as well as a look at the faction, the Drakari, which is the Dark Eldar. And so, yeah, very exciting. I imagine very, very soon we're going to see some stuff on the starter box set, the new starter box set for 8th edition, as well as perhaps even a release date. And when that happens, I'm going to be all over that. So guys, take it easy, have a good one, stay safe, do whatever you're doing, painting, modeling, hobbying, you know what I'm gonna say, but make sure you're having a good one. Thanks for all the support, by the way, to the channel. It's really appreciated. My apologies if I can't message you back. Sometimes Google Plus, if you leave a comment on that, it doesn't show up on my YouTube channel. I do try to reply to everyone, and I do mean everyone, but sometimes I just don't see it, so apologies. But to all of you who have commented, liked, disliked, whatever, thank you very much, at least in some way of leaving feedback. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys all later on. All right, take it easy. Bye bye.